In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
I'm still amazed that some people will support Trump after all the crazy things that we heard last night.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
What do you know? What have you seen?
I know all our ducks are gone.
I've never seen nothing going on with the dogs and the cat, except what I've seen on TikTok.
You talk about extreme.
Welcome to USA 2024 On the Road. There's the news and there is reporting the news. And that's what this podcast is about. I'm James Matthews, Sky News US correspondent, speaking to you from Washington, D.C.
And I'm Mark Stone. I'm also one of Sky's US correspondents where am I? In Springfield, Ohio. Hard to keep up.
And together with our colleague Martha Kellner in Los Angeles, we'll take you on the road with us as we cover this most important election.
Tonight, the two candidates fighting to make it into the White House will go head-to-head for the first time in what could be the crucial moment of the US election campaign.
We're in the spin room. This is the size of two football pitches.
They're just getting ready here for a watch party. This is Kamala Harris's hometown.
Mr. Trump, over here. Over here, Mr. Trump. Over here. Mark, the last time we were together was in Philadelphia. It seems just hours ago, the debate, the spin room, getting kicked out at 1 a.m., if I recall.
Now, I don't know why it is, James. We always seem to be the first in and the last out. The staff were pleading for us to leave because they'd have to pay more money, but we were there because we were cutting our piece for the TV for the breakfast programme, which we made just in time, in between running to doorstep different characters.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The way they operated it was you had the big American networks, to whom the key players go for their one-to-one interviews. And at the end of that, there's a cordoned off area where the press gather to grab these people as they come off stage. That had all taken place. We'd seen J.D. Vance, all the key players. And then suddenly they started building the cordon again. And this was half an hour, 40 minutes after the debate. So we thought, well, who else is left? And that's when we got a sense that the man himself was going to turn up.
Mr. Trump, over here. Over here, Mr. Trump.
Essentially, it was this ring of journalists shouting at him, trying to grab his attention, and almost this kind of bull ring, and he worked his way around and eventually pointed to me. And that was the opportunity to ask him about, the story of the night, I suppose.
Sir, over here, sir. Did you say that people are eating dogs in Springfield, Ohio?
Yeah, true. You take a look at it. No,
it's nonsense. The local authorities say it.
Well, you could check it out. Check with the authorities.
Tell me, Mark, what did you think when on stage Donald Trump came up with that line about the eating the dogs and the cats?
Well, I was next to our producer, Emily Purser-Brown, and we were trying to work out what particular clips we would use in our VT, as it's known, our news report for breakfast, which can only be a certain length of time, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, from a 90-minute debate. So every time you hear something, you're like, that's going in. And then he said this stuff about cats and dogs, and Emily and I looked at each other. Like, well, that's clearly going in. This story had been doing the rounds over the previous few days. His son, Don Jr., and his running mate, J.D. Vance, had both amplified this story from Springfield, Ohio, about dogs and cats being eaten by Haitian migrants, but no one expected that Donald Trump would bring it up like he did.
Yeah, I just remember the laughter, actually. We're sitting watching this debate on big screens around this hall, and that ripple of laughter as he mentioned it. And it was rather the moment, wasn't it, where you thought that's where he lost this debate.
Yeah, he did. And there are two Donald Trumps, aren't there? We saw one Donald Trump at the first debate with Joe Biden, the one that went so disastrously wrong for Joe Biden. That was an out of character Donald Trump, where he was reserved, he did not lose his cool, he allowed, honestly, Joe Biden to destroy himself. And I think there's a split among Trump's advisors in the inner circle about those who believe that he needs to measure himself, measure his temper, talk about policy, not about nonsense. And then there are those, in fact, some who've been brought back into the fold more recently. Corey Lewandowski is one advisor to Donald Trump, who famously said, let Trump be Trump. And what we saw the other night was Trump being Trump, and the base absolutely love it. Trump's problem, James, is that there are people he needs to persuade that are, at the moment, undecided. And I'm not convinced that they will have looked at Trump the other night and thought, he's the man for me.
Yeah, and as we're speaking, Mark, Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social that there will be no third debate. You know, it was a big night, unquestionably, in this election campaign. In terms of the immediate impact, it has steered the news agenda towards an unsuspecting Springfield, Ohio. That line about migrants eating dogs and cats, everybody's talking about it. Mark, you have been speaking about it to the people of Springfield itself. Trump, well, he'd barely left the stage when you got the call to go.
Yeah, and in fact, there were other colleagues from other networks, from other podcasts, in fact, suggesting that it would be very little time before editors were ringing their reporters and saying, get to Springfield and don't come back until you've found me evidence of this. And sure enough, here I am.
And tell me about Springfield, Ohio. Mark, quite the journey from Philadelphia.
Yeah, a couple of hours on a flight to the centre of America, almost the centre, to Ohio, just to the west of Columbus, the state capital. Fans of The Simpsons will know that was set in Springfield, but it's not this Springfield. Springfield in The Simpsons is supposed to be any town, and I guess actually in a sense this feels like any American town. Relatively unremarkable, gridded streets, clean, tidy, friendly people, great coffee shop where we've just had some lunch, and suddenly the centre of the media world, given what Donald Trump has said. On the face of it, it's quite funny. And, you know, people, as you say, in the debate spin room were laughing at what Donald Trump said. But underneath that is a very serious topic, that is immigration, and another very serious topic, and that is disinformation. And both of them are a massive problem for America, and both collided with this particular story. Because, yes, Springfield has a particular problem with trying to assimilate, trying to absorb some 15,000 Haitians who have arrived in the city since 2020. But no, they are not eating people's pets. And that much has become quite clear to us over the course of the past day, although it is also clear that there are lots of people here who think maybe they might be. And they just wonder because they've seen this video or that video. So it is the anatomy of a conspiracy theory, in one small town.
It's a story that needs interrogating and needs a bit of research in terms of who you speak to and where you go. Tell me about that process.
Well, the first thing we did was we got up early and went to the park to speak to some people walking dogs.
What do you think about it? Have you heard about it?
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen anything really.
Yeah. And you're not worried about your dog?
No.
I never seen nothing going on with the dog and the cat, except what I seen on TikTok with the Springfield police arresting the lady for eating a cat.
Yeah. She was from Ohio.
I think she's from Haiti, wasn't she?
And I pointed out that video is indeed true. It does exist. It was a few weeks ago, but the person arrested for killing and eating a cat is neither Haitian nor from Springfield. She is American, and it was clearly a one-off extraordinary incident. After that, we went to a centre that is trying to help some of these 15,000 Haitians who have come here, where we saw, the sort of thing you would expect from people who are welcoming of migrants and who recognise the challenges but want to try and do something about it.
My name is Casey Rollins, and I'm with St. Vincent de Paul in Springfield, Ohio.
And it's busy here today.
It's busy. Since we had all of this excitement the last couple of days, we have had unbelievable support, and I mean in the way of active initiatives from people all over the country. And it's just really endearing to see how many people feel very strongly about the fact that the folks are here and we need to care for them as our own.
How did you feel when you heard Donald Trump's words the other night?
I was physically ill. Still am. But that's what happens when hysteria is spread, and all kinds of fictional narratives, and it's really, really doing harm to our world, not just to our little, local community here, but to our entire world.
It's clear that some people in the community, I've watched some of the video clips from the community gatherings that they have. Some people are fearful, but they just don't want these people here. And I wonder what your reaction to that is.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. Yeah.
They feel like their town is being, and I'm whispering because there are people around us, but they feel like their town's being taken over. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that, as many people have said before me, our town has always been a wonderful town, but it was dwindling in population as we are a Rust Belt city, or whatever that terminology is, and that we have had a resurgence in industry, and as such, there are thousands of jobs, and we need good folks who will do those jobs for the well-being of the entire country and the world, really. We need the people, and the industry needs the people, and the people need the work. I mean, what more is there to say?
But what was also really, really clear, and you've see it around this town, is that of course not everyone is welcoming. There are those who are really concerned about the pressures that an influx of so many people into a small town, the pressures that can have. And it's a story replicated across the UK as well. It's caused division, but it's a division that is being compounded, amplified, made more dangerous by adding stuff into the mix that's not true. In fact, one young Haitian chap, I asked him about it. His English isn't great because he's only been here 4 months, but he's better than my French is after, 45 years. So that shows you he is really keen to learn as much English as he can.
When you want something, you sacrifice for this. For working, you're supposed to speak English.
And I asked him what he thought about Donald Trump. Your English is fantastic. Let me ask you again, what you make of what Donald Trump is saying, this stuff about eating pets. It must be, what do you make of it?
The Haitian don't eating the cat, the dog. No, it's not the culture to eating that.
You like vegetables?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're laughing about it. A lot of people have laughed at what he said. But there is a serious point. Are you also a bit offended by what he said?
I feel bad. The Haitians feel bad for this because it's not good for the.
It's not good to allow you
to. The ticker is not good for the Haitian. The ticker, the eating dog, pets.
The tag.
It's not good for the Haitian.
Because it's not true. I should add one more thing, actually, James, that I think is really interesting, is that we should point out that the city officials have said there is no evidence for this. The state officials have as well. The state governor is a Republican. He is on the same team, so to speak, as Donald Trump, although not a massive fan of Donald Trump, but he is a Republican, and he has pointed out that there's absolutely no evidence of this at all.
Quite the story in Springfield, Ohio. The debate fallout took me 25 miles outside of Philadelphia to somewhere completely different. It was an early start the morning after. The sun's out in Philadelphia. It's 7:15 in the morning. It's only, 6 hours thereabouts since we left the spin room. We got on the road for a place called Bucks County.
It's a good start.
Ryan is in New Jersey. Hey Ryan, how you doing?
Good, how you guys doing? First time calling.
Oh, thanks Ryan. What'd you make of last night?
As the pundits were pouring over the night before, we were in search of the real people reaction. We took the open road northwest as the rush hour traffic was heading in the opposite direction to Philadelphia. Doylestown was our destination in Bucks County. Nathan Hale, the cameraman with us from London for a couple of weeks, was at the wheel, and our US producer Eleanor Dealey in the passenger seat. Remind me about where we're going and why it's...
So we're going to Bucks County, north of Philadelphia. It's like a suburb county. It's been Democrat for years and years and years, but it's becoming increasingly Republican, and it's seen as one of the key counties the Republicans could swing towards them.
The challenge, as always, as we headed to Doylestown, wasn't just to find members of the public, but members of the public who will speak to you. For a UK TV crew, we find it a bit easier on this side of the Atlantic. So the plan is when we get there, obviously, is to speak to people, ask them what they think. The beauty about doing that, the Vox Pop in America, is that people are, ready, willing and able to speak to the media. In the UK, people are a bit more reluctant. In America, typically, people know what they think, have said what they think on a regular basis, and are quite ready to repeat that on camera. When we got to Doylestown, we headed to the YMCA car park and found the scenic strollers.
Hello.
Hi, how do you do? Hi, my name's James. I'm from Sky News in the UK. Hi. How are you doing?
The scenic strollers, they're a group of walkers who, they're mostly retirees, and they gather in the morning sun for a stroll through the suburb.
Philadelphia for the debate last night.
Okay.
We're interested in speaking to ordinary people about ordinary yet extraordinary.
So we strolled through picket fence suburbia, and the chat was about who'd done well the night before.
I did stay up way past my bedtime. and I was glad I did.
I'm voting for Kamala Harris, but I'm still amazed that some people will support Trump after all the crazy things that we heard last night, eating pets, babies being murdered after birth. That craziness makes me uncomfortable.
Can I ask your name?
Debbie Wolfgang.
How do you spell your name, Debbie?
Wolfgang, Wolfgang.
Tell me, Debbie, what did you think of the debate last night?
I did watch the entire debate. I also am voting for Kamala Harris. I was nervous after the first debate with Joe Biden, and I just think her whole debate performance last night was spot on. She was professional. She again reiterated policies that she likes. Love the choice of Tim Walz. I think he's a great choice that connects with a lot of people. So,
if division has been a bad thing, Debbie, why should Kamala Harris heal that or fix that?
I think because she won't amplify the break. She won't feed the fuel, the fire that keeps that stoked. Whereas Donald Trump doesn't do that. I think he thrives on the break. I think he drives on the chaos, thrives on that. And people just, I don't know why, they love it.
All right, I'm getting tired of
As we passed by the buzz on Oakland Avenue, we bumped into Gino trimming his hedge.
What's your name, sir?
Gino Girardi.
That'd be an Italian name.
It would.
What age are you, Gino?
63.
Gino Girardi is, at age 63, retired. He described himself as an independent voter. He would vote Republican, but told us he can't see past Donald Trump.
I'm hopeful that the majority of voters, especially in the key states, because, we have an electoral college, will make the right choice. And I think Harris is the only choice, really.
And Trump, what did you make of his contribution?
He's crazy. He's just a crazy person. And unfortunately, the Republican Party has, capitulated to him. And it's no longer the Republican Party. I mean, I would like to see a strong center-right party in this country because I think we need it. But unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore.
So there's hostility towards Trump. We found that. It's also true to say, though, and the polls prove it, there's also support to a level that's got this race neck and neck. The white male vote is at the heart of that.
What's your name, sir?
Pat.
What's your second name, Pat?
Gillott.
That sounds like Gilhooly with a different...
It's close. Well, it was when my grandfather came over. It was Gillott.
Right.
And they, of course, couldn't spell it when he came over.
We found Pat Gillooly working on a house round the corner. He's 53 years old, a descendant of Irish immigrants. He told us he'll be voting for Donald Trump.
Kamala was a lot better prepared than Trump was, obviously, and I think she won. Although that's not going to change my opinion on who I vote for at this point.
Yeah. What is that opinion?
I'm a Republican. Yeah.
Why won't it change your view?
Because she didn't answer any of the questions that needed to be answered, like the border control, letting immigrants into this country. She didn't answer anything about abortion. She didn't, as far as reinstating Roe versus Wade. So, in my opinion, she was better prepared, but still not going to change my mind. So.
What did you make of Donald Trump talking about immigrants eating dogs?
He's a lunatic. You have to either accept him as that and let him run the country, and I believe he can run the country better than the Democrats can, but there are certain things that come along with him. So, I mean, you either have to accept that or you have to throw your vote away and vote for a Green Party or somebody else that, is not going to get elected. So.
Why does Donald Trump work for you in your life?
I think that he is going to go back to the economy that he was running before, and it's going to help me save money every year. Groceries, gas, taxes, that kind of thing. But my biggest issue is immigration and illegal immigrants and paying for them to be in this country. So, like I said, neither choice is great, but she didn't change my mind. So, yeah.
And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion.
That sound you hear is Kamala Harris outside the Native coffee shop on the main street. It's a man's Twitter feed.
Social media is very nasty here. So you want to just, if you wouldn't mind, just not mention my name. Just put down R.
R spoke to us about the A word, abortion. He reflected, I thought, how reproductive rights isn't just an issue for women voters at this election.
You know, as a man, I have a sister and I have a mother, and I have lots of women in my life. And I have women in my life that have had difficult pregnancies. And I think of what their life would be like if they had a difficult pregnancy and they were in a state that would, as Vice President Harris suggested, she might have to bleed out in her car. I mean, we have stories like that. That's since the Roe versus Wade was overturned. And I'm not, it was her abortion. To answer your question, it was her response on female reproductive rights that just slammed it home for me.
There you go, the view from the streets of Doylestown, Bucks County. We're going to take a quick break, but I'll leave you with the exchange I had with Mark Cosgrove and Maureen Wheatley. They were out walking their pet dog, and if you did think there was more than one story in town, Mark and Maureen, well, they didn't.
You're welcome.
I think we're just going to show you a lovely dog.
We're thinking of eating him for breakfast. You understand what that joke is about?
Tell me.
Welcome back to USA 2024 on the road. It feels like the story that's not going to go away, Mark. Where do you think it leaves Trump, this business of Springfield, Ohio, the eating of family pets? And where do you think he is generally with 7 weeks to go until polling day?
Well, I think there are different people who, within his own circle, who either wish he would calm down a bit and stick to script, and there are those who quite enjoy this. I think this one maybe, given that there has not been a great deal of evidence of what he said actually being true, in fact no evidence, I think he might wish that he hadn't said it. And in fact it was quite clear, and has been clear over the past few days, that his surrogates, whether it be J.D. Vance or others, are kind of backtracking a bit now and talking less about that and using it as a vehicle to talk about the issue they want to talk about, which is immigration. Because remember, a majority of Americans, according to the polls, do think that on two of the key election issues, one, immigration, two, the economy, a majority believe that Donald Trump would have a better handle on those than Kamala Harris does, which may be surprising to people who see him as a chaotic guy. But they trust him on those two issues.
Yeah. In terms of Kamala Harris, I think she's content. She's finished this week, having built on the momentum that she has sustained since she was appointed. I was struck by some of those people I spoke to in Bucks County. They'd clearly been anxious. And what I saw was relief, I think, and empowerment. They're confident Harris has a momentum that is building. The counter argument, of course, was in Bucks County. We heard from him, Pat Galooly, voting Republican no matter what or whom. Harris will hope the confident, assertive performance she put in reaches the middle ground.
Yeah, but she really didn't answer questions very straight, I didn't think. And I think where she was really good on poise to counter the Trumpian chaos on her right, she lacked in policy. And I think that's a problem for her.
Yeah, and I think people will be puzzled by that business of scrutiny and the opportunity to scrutinise who she is, what she stands for. The Harris team, they're planning a more aggressive phase of campaigning. They're calling it a new way forward, a tour of battleground states, a new suite of ads featuring moments from the debate. Trump, of course, he said there'll be no third debate, and she will be goading him with that. They think it's a message that will sell. We'll see in due course.
I think her challenges are to put space between her and Biden, to present herself not as the continuity candidate, but as a fresh new face. That's the first challenge, and it's a hard one for her. The second one is to persuade people that she is not the far left liberal that honestly she was just a few years ago. She was voted the most liberal senator on Capitol Hill based on her voting record. She has moved centrist since then, but she needs to persuade voters that she is centrist, because there'll be many in the centre in America who will not be willing to vote for someone that they worry is way too liberal.
Mark, that's about time for us. Back home tonight, is it? I hope you've not missed any family birthdays.
Well, only my wife, which is... Shall I do that one again? Because I shouldn't say only my wife.
let me ask you again.
I missed my wife's birthday, but I have to go, James. I'm going to miss my live on the TV if I don't go right now. So I'll be in the doghouse twice with my producer and my wife.
Okay, well, many thanks and safe journey. Thank you very much for listening. Do join us on the road again next week.